Hello everyone, this is Team Namma Nexus and our project title is SolarWindKA, which is basically Karnataka's renewable grid intelligence platform. So just imagine a state like Karnataka where like 50% of our energy capacity is now renewable, and on a sunny day we assume a solar plant like Pavagada is performing beastly, which is powering millions of homes, but then a sudden cloud of bank moves in. Within 15 minutes the grid loses 500 megawatts. That is the equivalent of a mid-sized coal plant just vanishing. So current grid systems, they are blind to these micro weather shifts and they rely on old school statistics. That's why we have built SolarWindKA, which is the first proactive grid intelligence platform, and our goal is to turn that unpredictability into a precision science. And we have built a system that does not just watches the weather, it understands the physics of the grid and the geometry of the state. Today I am going to walk you through a prototype that represents our monorepo architecture, training the graph neural networks and designing the first user experience. So coming up to the feature landscape, so these are the main features of our platform. So firstly we have PV-lib clear sky modeling, which is basically a deterministic irradiance baselines for the Karnataka's 14-degree north latitudes. And also we have graph neural networks, which basically uses spatial intelligence. Like think a grid has a social networks. So what happens is that one plant influences its neighbors, same way our AI also captures that peer pressure. And also we have Grok Llama 70 billion model for the reasoning as well, which is used in the multi-agent orchestration over the live SCADA telemetry. It also dispatches the rules and the congestion alerts, and it explains the forecast decisions in plain language. Also we are using XGBoost plus Light GBM to monitor the cloud motion over the vector corrections from the 0 to 3 hour horizons. Also we have a severity aware alert engine, which is basically a binary logistic classifier for severe ramp alerts, which will be basically sent on the telegram bot that we have made. And also we have a model reliability index, which basically calculates a composite score between 0 to 100 from the ML skill using the NRMAC accuracy, and it has a P10 to P90 spread and a severity penalties. So live trust state basically drives the UI confidence indicators across all the views. Coming up to the main architecture of our project, so we have chosen a monorepo approach using Node.js, Drizzle, ORM and White. So this basically ensures that our data models and our UI are always in sync. Coming up to the data, our data set is very massive. We have started with a 1,18,865 row historical data set from Hassan solar plant. We then used the transfer learning to scale that intelligence to 5 other simulated plant. We also are doing hybrid modeling. We are combining physical models, which basically explains the physics of how solar panel react to the heat, with baseline ML models like XGBoost and Light GBM to handle the randomness of wind. Also we are pulling live feeds from the Open Meteor and are designed to ingest the satellite imagery from ISRO's MOSDAQ for real-time cloud monitoring. Coming up to the main heart of the project, the dashboard. So here we have the different plants and clusters. As you can see here, all the plants and clusters are listed. So we have grouped the plants into clusters here because the weather is actually local, and a cluster basically allows for the internal balancing. Like let's say if in one plant the weather drops, then it may affect the energy levels in the other plant. Like they might peak or they might go down. And we are also having an estimated peak output. This is basically the 24-hour target. It is calculated by our day ahead model. Also we have active alerts, which are basically the ramp up and ramp down alerts. So in grid terms, ramp is basically a rapid change in the power, so too much, too fast, and the grid frequency destabilizes. Then we have the monsoon risk. This is one of the unique terminologies. Like during the monsoon, Karnataka's weather doesn't allow standard patterns, so our model switches to a monsoon weights mode to prevent the hallucinations in the data. Also we have skill score. Let's say if our AI is just as good as a random guess, then the skill is 0, and if it is perfect, it is 1. And our current prototype maintains a skill between 0.6 to 0.9. Also we have the grid stability as well, which you can see here right now. So if I select a particular plant, let's say this plant, uh, same things we are also mapping on the map as well, so you can see the location of the plants. Coming up to the forecasting, so here we have three types of forecasting, which is day ahead, intraday and hourly. So as you can see, we are making the generation forecast for all these three types. We have the hourly forecast as well. So basically I'll explain what P5, P90 and P10 stands for. So P550 is basically the most likely outcome. P90 is like the conservative outcome, like it means that there is a 90% chance that we'll produce at least this much. And P10, it is it is kind of a ceiling, like let's say there is only a 10% chance that we can exceed this value. So here we can see this on different cloud scenarios, like there is clear, partly cloudy and overcast. And also we have 72 hours actuals versus the forecast. So here this is the output of our graph neural network. It basically shows how much we have adjusted the forecast till now. It also shows that if a plant is 50 kilometers away, it sees a drop, and this graphs basically spikes, which basically warns our main model to lower its P50 estimate before the clouds even arrive. Coming up to the AI Copilot, so we basically have four agents here. One is the forecast intelligence agent, and one is the grid stability agent, one is the trust reliability agent, and fourth one is the advisory translation agent. So all these agents are powered by Llama 3.3 70 billion parameter model for the reasoning. Here we are doing a multi-agent orchestration. These agents are pulling up values from the database and real time as well, and then they are giving us a advisory, like let's say, as you can see, dispatch the grid operators to maintain a balanced energy mix. So like this, they are giving us an advisory, and they're also giving the trust constraint, which basically tells that there are no critical alerts recently. Yeah, also we have the simulation impact. Right now we are not simulating it, but once we simulate, we can see the simulation impact on these explainability features. Then we have the historical analog, which basically shows the historical intervention till now. And we also have the telemetry trust, which basically shows the SCADA latency, the drift state, SAT freshness, and the telemetry drops till now. And here you can see this explainability, which is through the SHAP. Coming up to the simulation, so now this is the operational scenario planning of our project. So we can simulate a grid stress test. So here we have different operational presets, and accordingly we can check for the different wind scenarios. We can select the thermal irradiance, we can see the monsoon transition, and we can have the grid lit stress, and we can also have the reserve dispatch, and we can simulate the things. Coming up to the trust engine, so we have the trust engine, which is basically the monitor model drift. So if the weather in the Karnataka changes permanently due to the climate change, our models will fail. So the trust engine basically tracks the forensic drift drivers and tell us when it is the time to retrain the GNN. So here you can see we are giving our operational reliability state. Also we are showing the forecast accuracy, the grid synchronization, and the telemetry health as well here. Coming up to the assets, so asset is basically the details of the plant, which basically tells its capacity, its horizon, and the model performance. You have all the root mean square scores, skill scores, and MAE score here. And we also have the forensic drift drivers, which basically covers the cloud cover, temperature gradient, wind speed, time of the day, and module soiling. Coming up to the notifications, so notification basically shows us if there is a critical alert, if let's say a generation drop is expected or a wind ramp probability is rising, then it will give you an alert. Also we have a GOA assistant, which is basically called grid operations assistant, which basically tells us the status of each plant. It is a multilingual assistant. It works in Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Marathi, Hindi, and English. So let's say if I ask a question, what is the status of Hassan plant. So it will basically tell me the status. If I ask in Kannada, translate to Kannada, then it will show me the same thing in Kannada language as well. So this was our Geo Assistant. It is basically monitoring each and every values in the PostgreSQL database that we have. Also, we have a Telegram bot set up as well, which works real time. As you can see, it's 5:13, so it is telling us the latest updates of all the plants. If there is an alert, if the ramp goes up or if the ramp goes down, it will basically give you an alert which you can see on your phone. And it is basically to support our Geo Assistant, which will be basically helpful for the grid operators who are operating on the field. So basically, to wrap up everything, we at SolarWindKA are solving not a small problem, but we are solving a multi-billion dollar problem. So while others are using the global weather, we are using the local spatial intelligence. We are using the GNNs and the SHAP to make the most transparent tool that exists in the market right now. And this prototype, we are doing it for Karnataka, but it can be scaled to other states and entire country as well. And the goal here is not just to predict the sun and wind, but the main goal is to provide the grid certainty which is required to transition India to 100% clean energy, which is also like part of our 2047 Viksit Bharat mission. We have the data, we have the models, and as you have seen today, we have a functional intelligence driven, ready for the future of the grid. So this was SolarWindKA. Thank you.